Hello beauties, Shaz here, and today we're gonna dupe Flutter Palette from Ensley Reign. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, don't forget to subscribe before you leave and also give a thumbs up. Let's get started.
As always, I'm going to go left to right, top to bottom, swatch every shade and tell you what shade I'm using. I also have some extra shades that I will recommend if you don't have the original shades that I'm using. Again, beauties, the purpose of these videos is for you to use the shades that you have instead of feeling the need and the pressure to go buy new makeup. Let's get started.
Friends, the first shade in this palette looks like a very muted down orange. I personally thought a more yellowy orange shade suits me better, which is why I picked these two options. The first one is Tiger from Luxie Beauty, and yes, it's been through a little bit, so I have had to press it down again with some alcohol. I have a video of how I do these. I'll tag it for you all if you have a broken shade, how to put it back in the pan. Of course, if you do a better job of pressing it, it's not going to look this funky. And then because Luxie Beauty is not available, another option you have is Mangonada from Give Me Glow. This one, as you can see, has never been used, so I'm excited to swatch it. Also, beauties, as always, remember that these swatches in reality are a little deeper than what shows up on camera. And as you can see, even on camera, it's obvious the Tiger is a lot more orange than, what it looks like in the pan. And then Mangonada is also not too far behind. These are both beautiful shades, but a lot more bright than what the shade in the palette actually looks like. Again, I'm purely going by the swatch photos on Ensley Reign's website, and we all know those photos are definitely modified with some software. From the swatch photos online, our next shade looks like a shimmery magenta, but there are a lot of different shades that are kind of a magenta variation from the swatches in this palette. So all of these options that I give you, you can use interchangeably. Meaning if one of the options I give you for one color you think is a closer match for another magenta shift in the palette, use it for that one. For this one, I picked Swindle as one option. This is from Glam Shop. And then Lustre as another option. This one is from Glaminatrix. And these two are not exactly the same shades. They're slightly different. So Swindle being a marbled shade, as you can see, gives that marbly effect. I love these Glam Shop marble shades because since the colors in the marble are very well selected, when you swirl them in the pan, the result you get is not this arbitrary, unknown, maybe muted down and not very pretty shade. Instead, it's a beautiful, beautiful shade as you see here. This is, and in fact, I didn't swirl it too much, which is why you see both the pink and the purple effect. But then you definitely have that gold hue on top, which makes it look even more similar to what I see in the photos from the Ensley Reign swatches. And then Lustre is a very different option. This is a duochrome, medium translucent shade with a beautiful magenta base and a gorgeous, gorgeous purpley shift. I mean, maybe this is not a duochrome, but a multichrome, because I also see a blue shift and also a gold shift. Yeah, both of these options are gorgeous, whichever you want to pick. And, Lustre might also be a good option for some of the other shades, as I mentioned. For our next shade, I picked 96 from Copacetic, a beautiful, beautiful green, very bright green matte. From the swatch photos on Ensley Reign's website, the next shade looks like Lucid Lavender from Touch of Glam, and that's why I picked that shade as the main option. Another option you have, obviously, is Baubles. We've been there. I have a video about these two shades and whether they're similar or not. You can pick either of these shades, but Lucid Lavender has a much more obvious pink shift, and that is what I see in the swatch photos available online. Again, it's very difficult though to know for real what these shades will look like in reality because as we know, all of these photos are enhanced. These are the two shades in the dark. I'm tagging my video swatch comparing these two shades and also a lot of other potential contenders as dupes. Maybe one of the shades that are shown in that video you have and you can use that instead. For our next shade, I picked a shade from one of Cleona's palettes. This is from the Oceano palette. Don't mind if you don't have the palette. I have definitely done a lot of swatches of grungy yellows in my other videos, so you can pick one of those. Please don't go buy this palette just to be able to dupe this shade. The only reason I picked this shade is to show you that to dupe palettes, you don't have to always use single eyeshadows, but you can also pick shades from pre-built palettes from brands. Also, beauties, I quickly wanted to show my nails. These are for the Dia de los Muertos from Kiss Nails. I picked these up a few years ago. I've picked a few of them because I love them. They're so cute. And then the last shade in this row, I picked two options. The first option is Jelly Bean from Luxi Beauty, but I know Luxi is difficult to get your hands on. I just thought you might have this shade already. And then the next option or potential option is Summer Daze from Touch of Glam. Comparing the swatches on my hand to the swatches available online, Jelly Bean looks more like the shade in the palette. It has a pinky reddish base with a green, very diffused green to gold to silver glaze over it, while Summer Daze has a much deeper burgundy base with a much more obvious teal to gold to green shift or glaze over it. All the shades in this collection from Touch of Glam are pretty flaky, including this one, and they're also very, very vibrant. You can see that the shifts are a lot brighter compared to Jelly Bean. This is Excellence from Copacetic, which I used for duping this next shade. This shade also serves as a potential dupe for the shade that I picked Lucid Lavender for. Excellence, however, is a holochrome and it's a lot more vibrant than Lucid Lavender. It's a lot more metallic looking, a lot brighter. The shifts are very, very bright and obvious. And frankly, the first shade in the second row is kind of a mystery. It's very difficult to know from the swatch photo what this shade should look like. That swatch photo looks very, very enhanced. So I just decided to pick this shade instead. If you all have a better option, let me know. Our next shade is a medium toned gray, and for it I picked Thunderbird from Sydney Grace, which is also a beautiful medium toned gray that from some angles looks a little bit bluish. And this next shade is another one of those enigmas that is very difficult to decipher from the swatch photo online. I picked some shades that I thought could be a dupe. So the shade looks like it's a pink with a possible gold, possible going to green, possible going to blue glaze over it. Our first option is Licorice Lace, a shade from Luxi Beauty, but of course it's difficult to get your hands on Luxi at the moment. Another option is Virtual Pink from Glam Shop, and if that doesn't rock your boat, you can use Lustre again from Glaminatrix. I already swatched this earlier, but I've swatched it again just so you can compare it with the other shades. All three of these shades look a little bit translucent, but you can see the difference between the shifts in Lustre and Virtual Pink. And Licorice Lace is the most opaque shade of the three. And these are the shifts of the shades in the dark. The next shade in the palette looks burgundy in some photos and mid-tone purple in some other photos. I thought mid-tone purple looks better, and it definitely goes better with all the magenta shifts in the palette. So that's what we're going with. The first option is Mocny Fiolet. I don't have the English name of this. This is from Glam Shop. And our next option that I picked is 143 from Colourpop. Mocny Fiolet is a tiny bit deeper than 143, both in the pan and in the swatch. Friends, by the time I got to this shade, I was kind of tired of looking at these enhanced swatch photos online because it's very, very difficult. Again, yeah, I know I keep saying this, to know what this shade really looks like. And I just decided to pick a shade that I thought would make sense here that has at least some of the shifts based on the photos online. And the shade that I picked is Oppy or Opie from Terramoons. The shade in the swatches online looks like it has a light burgundy base, which Opie does not have, or maybe it's a red or pink base with a gold to green shift. And I know I already swatched a few options for that kind of a shade. You can look at the two options I chose for the last shade in the top row. I chose Jelly Bean from Looxi and Summer Daze from Touch of Glam, so maybe one of those options works better here. But Opie to me looks amazing in this kind of a spot. This shade has a gorgeous teal base with a coppery pink to purple shift right there. This is Opie in the dark, and you can see that the coppery shift looks almost purple pink. Yeah, and I also see a silver shift. For our last shade, I picked Northeaster from Sydney Grace, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous deep, deep blue. Although I think this shade is actually a matte black, in some photos it looks like a deep, deep blue like this. And I think the reason for that is because those photos are very much enhanced. Beauties, if you enjoyed this video and enjoy these kinds of videos, don't forget to check out my playlist where I dupe a lot of popular palettes. The playlist should be recommended to you at the end of this video. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget a thumbs up before you leave. I love you all. Have an amazing day. And until next time, bye.